Hey guys, thanks for watching. Maria Mitchell here, bringing you another face painting tutorial. Today I want to share with you this really pretty design that I call a fairy garden. When I've repotted my paints onto my palette that sits into my face painting kit, what I've done, I've placed some colours that I use together side by side so that if I ever wanted to pick both of them up, I could. So I've put these, this is called fissile. It's a really pretty pink colour right next to the red, which I like to use for these red mushrooms. And that way what I can do, this is loaded up with something else as you can see, but I like to just run my brush amongst both of them and pick both colours up, so it almost acts like a split cake. So with those two colours loaded up on either end of my flat brush, I've just gone ahead and I've done the tops of the mushrooms. For the stems of the mushroom, I've loaded up a split cake called Magpie by Tag, and I've only picked up the grey and the white just to make a bit of shadow, create a bit of shadowing in there. For the grass and the stems for the flowers, I've used a split cake called Leaf White by Tag, and I've only picked up the dark green and the lighter green with a small flat brush. And for the pretty butterfly wings, what I've done is picked up some of this gorgeous split cake by Silly Farm. It's an arty cake called Pretty Baby, and that's going to be the butterfly wings on top of the mushroom. So grab your paintbrushes and let's get painting this pretty fairy garden design together. With a 3/4 inch flat brush, loading up the red and the pink fissile colour from that palette and bringing your brush flat, just doing a loop with the red on the outside at the tip of the brush and the pink fissile on the inner heel of the brush, and just bringing it up and into a loop just to create the round edges of each side of that mushroom. And here I'm just using the tip of that brush where the red is loaded up just to complete it. And now we're just going to create another mushroom to the right of that mushroom and to the left as well. So just doing a loop with the heel pointing upwards and the tip pointing downwards. And here I've picked up some grey and white from my Magpie Tag split cake, and I've loaded up my 1/2 inch flat brush, and we're going to use this technique to paint on the stems of the mushrooms. So just bringing your brush flat, and then where the grey is loaded of that side of the brush, we're just going to swoop it around to the bottom of the stalk or the stem of the mushrooms. Now here I've loaded up some red on a number 2 round brush, and I'm just going to go ahead and outline the edges of these mushroom tops. Now for the spotty mushroom tops, we're going to load up a number 6 round brush with some white, and it's going to be quite heavily loaded with paint, and we're just going to proceed in making some cute little thick and then smaller dots throughout these mushroom tops. Make sure your brush is nicely loaded with a good amount of thick paint. Here I've got a split cake called Leafy White by Tag loaded up on a small flat brush, and I'm just going to go ahead and make the grass surrounding these mushrooms by just dragging the brush upward, leading with the lighter part, and then just making some flicks out to do some sections of the grass area. I'm going to do another longer piece of grass. This is just random. You can do
however many longer bits of grass and shorter bits of grass as you want. As long as it looks like there's a bit of grass and leaf work around the mushrooms, it will look just fine. Now I've got Pretty Baby loaded onto my 3/4 inch flat brush. I'm just bringing my brush flat, bringing it out and then curving it into a tip, then bringing it down halfway down that petal and then bringing it flat again to bring it down into an edge of the butterfly wing. Just going again over it on the other side of that brush just to accentuate it more as we're going over green here, making sure that the lighter part of the arty cake is in the inside. For the line work, I've got a number 4 round brush loaded up here, and I've just done a little teardrop to make the butterfly's body sitting on the top of that mushroom. And now I'm just going to outline the edge of the butterfly wings just by randomly doing some curves and some arches inside the wing, as well as doing some flicks in to create the illusion that there's some line work going through these butterfly wings. Once that's done, load up a liner brush with some white. I'm using Superstar White, and I'm just going to do a little curl, swirly curl pointing downward, and another one by its side just on top of it. Then I'm just going to load it up heavily with some paint on the watery side, and I'm just going to do some random spots and dot clusters only on the blacks of that wing. I've just sprayed my double dipping palette, and I'm going to work through the purple paint with my loaded petal brush with white. I'm just going to proceed and press down, just doing 3 little petals, 2 petals underneath and 1 on top, just adjacent and on top of those 2 little lines, the reeds that go right up above that first mushroom, just to make it look as though there's some petals, and just completing that on that other side, both sides of the eyes. And lastly, this is optional, just to complete it, just a little star just where the butterfly wing is. I'm doing 2. It's quite hard flicking the liner brushes when you are painting yourself, so I've tried the best I can. So putting your brush onto the skin and flicking them out will give you some nice little stars, and I've just done some dot clusters around there. Now just one last little detail. I have got a watered up brush with a tiny bit of black. So it's the black that I had from doing the butterfly outlines of the wings. And I've just dipped that back into the water and gotten any excess watery paint onto my hand. And that leaves you with just barely a tiny little bit of black mixed up with water on your brush. And that's going to give me the effect of grey shadows that I'm just going to paint on here at the bottom of these mushrooms. And voila, we are all done, guys.
I hope you enjoy recreating this pretty spotted mushroom fairy garden design. If you're new to this channel, please consider subscribing it, as I bring out every week at least one tutorial on how to face paint certain face painting designs and give you any tips, tricks and techniques that I use to achieve the results that I do. Until next time, happy painting.